I think it's better to make sure that I finish the entire case in one sitting so that way I don't forget details. So I'll probably finish this case and then, like, not advance to the next case. Oh, so this is the... Oh, wait. Wrong one. Obviously, it's Gumshoe. I need to blow my nose real quick. I've been coming down with something. I don't know what. But it's probably why I sound nasally. Okay. Much better. Wow, so this is the cargo hold, huh? It's so big! This plane is a special model. There's both a super large cargo hold and an ultra luxurious first class setting. So this is the real scene of the murder. There's certainly a high probability of that, which is why we're here, correct? Okay, let's get investigating, sir. Okay, so we need to investigate. Bed sheets. Keeping track of this many pieces of cargo must be very taxing on the cargo crew. It sure brings back memories when I worked as a part-time mover, sir. By the look in his eyes, he's waiting for me to ask about the rest of the story. And no matter how much he pours on the puppy eyes, I have no intention of doing so. Okay, so let's obviously examine the missing suitcase. Holy suitcases, Mr. Edgeworth. It's like all-you-can-use suitcase fare. These must be the leftover ones they couldn't sell. Ones that the company is planning to dispose of after this flight is over. This paint job is really cool, don't you think? It practically screams artsy. Oh, why not purchase one then? I'm sure it will bring you much happiness. You think so? Then maybe I will. Let's see here. $1,200! I think I'll pass. And Miss Tenero wonders why they don't sell. You'll need 2 jobs just to buy one. It definitely looks like one is missing. What's this brittle substance I'm stepping on? It's a bunch of glass fragments. They look like glasses. Looks like a smashed piece of glasses. Why did I not pick it up as evidence? Did you not think that was important? Okay, what's in this thing? Hey, what's with the suitcase, pal? It's what the victim checked in, sir. So this suitcase belonged to Mr. Hicks. Don't think you'd mind if we take a closer look? There's nothing out of the ordinary in here, sir. Wait, a file? There's a photo of Ms. Von Karma in it, sir. Looks like a profile on Francisca. Why did Mr. Hicks have documents on Francisca in his possession? I'm assuming he was meeting up with her? Because that explains why she was here waiting, right? Why would Mr. Hicks have had a file on her? What else am I looking for? There's something here. I didn't know that this plane was capable of carrying such large pieces of cargo. This thing's as tall as 2 of you on top of each other, sir. It'd probably take 20 of you to cover the entire surface of this monstrosity. What, really? Yeah, I guess that sounds about right. There's really no need to take that throwaway estimate seriously, detective. I guess talk to Francisca? You arrived at the scene of the crime before Detective Gumshoe, correct? And you then immediately began to direct the investigation. It seems to me that you were already here at the airport for something besides this murder. Yes, I was. Why at this airport? I've been following a very large and involved government-level international crime, but it's much too large for one person to take on alone, so it was decided that I should form a joint investigation with Interpol. Interpol is involved? It's a top-secret operation, so I can't really tell you any more than I already have. Alright. I'm guessing that... Oh. I had this carried over from before. Oh. Match those up. They look like they belong together. I think we could safely conclude that these fragments are from the pair of glasses. And that the victim was wearing a pair of broken glasses. Exactly what I was thinking. I'm sure that these shards would match up perfectly with the remnants of the glass's lens. Ergo, the victim was here, just as I suspected. So you're saying that the real scene of the crime was here, sir? Isn't that what I've been saying for a while now? Oh, is it? I didn't know that. Perhaps it's a bit early to draw that conclusion. However, I believe that the probability has just skyrocketed considerably. All that's left is to find the murder weapon. Interpol, right? Boom, boom. Now, why would Mr. Hicks have the documents profiling Franziska? Oh, I know. I bet he's a big fan of Ms. Von Karma, sir. Franziska said that she had to come to the airport as part of an Interpol investigation. Oh, maybe Mr. Hicks had heard she was coming here and he followed her. Detective, I think it's more likely that Mr. Hicks was, in actuality, Interpol agent Hicks. I think Franziska has some explaining to do. Okay. You came to this airport to rendezvous with the victim, didn't you? Nonsense! What are you talking about? They found a profile detailing information about you and the victim's luggage. I suppose it was prepared for him so he could recognize you when he landed. Which makes him not Mr. Hicks, but rather Interpol agent Hicks. Isn't that correct? I should have known you'd figure it out, Miles. But it looks like they got to him first. So you really did come here to receive an Interpol agent then? Yes. Agent Hicks was on the trail of a very large international smuggling ring. He went undercover to investigate his crime. Or this crime. And then it was I who put him on this case. I was supposed to receive a call from him on his cell phone once he had landed. I never expected to receive a call about his murder instead. I think we now have pretty definitive evidence that Agent Hicks came down here to the cargo hold. But what was he doing down here, sir? There's nothing but luggage. No, he's probably down here trying to look at some of the art dealer's stuff. I still think it's Cammy. It has to be. Oh, I get it. Maybe he forgot something in his suitcase and came down to get it. Ow! Agent Hicks came here for a work-related reason. Of that, I'm sure. Yes, I'm sure he was here to investigate the smuggling operation he was observing. Franziska, do you know exactly how he intended to pursue his investigation? No, unfortunately, I was going to find out from him after he landed. I see. But this raises another question. A normal passenger can't access the cargo hold on their own. Agent Hicks must have identified himself to a member of the crew and entered the cargo hold with the person who let him in. Yes, and that he was murdered here. These glass fragments and his broken glasses are a testament to that. And then the killer put Agent Hicks into one of the spare suitcases and they entered the elevator. And while they were riding it up, so Cammy could have easily taken him through this area without using the elevator. But maybe he figured out what was going on down here. Like he found, I don't know. Maybe Cammy is in on the smuggling ring or something? Because, like, the motive is what's missing. So, motive is, like, Cammy was part of the smuggling ring and had to silence him. because he found, like, evidence of what he was looking for. I guess maybe she was hoping that he wouldn't when she let him in down here. I'm not sure. Blaine hit that patch of turbulence. Because of the intense shaking, the suitcase popped open and Agent Hicks' body flew out. At the same time, his wallet fell out of his pocket, spilling its contents everywhere. Which explains why there was money scattered all over the elevator floor. I think it's pretty easy to say who the culprit is at this stage. What? Really, sir? I know what you're thinking, Miles Edgeworth. But the killer can be none other than Ms. Rhoda Tennero. Definitive evidence. If it was a crew member, any one of them could have shown Agent Hicks to the cargo hold. But the point to keep in mind is that the keycard that allows the elevator to come down here, the only person with such high-level access is Ms. Rhoda Tennero. I'd say that's a pretty decisive piece of information, wouldn't you? I know what she was trying to say, but I'm not certain it's as simple as that. I feel like I have to press. I don't think I have any... Card that allows the elevator to come down here. The only person with such high-level access is Ms. Rhoda Tennero. Okay, let me press that. Let's see if we can make this a wider statement. Why would such important things like the keycard be entrusted to only one person? According to Cammy Meal, Rhoda Tennero is in charge of most of the important stuff. What exactly is Ms. Meal in charge of? Chatting it up with that foolish captain, apparently. She was being so foolishly foolish that I didn't want to ask what her other duties were. I don't trust her. Yeah, I understand how you feel, but whipping me just now was uncalled for. In the end, the only one who could have let Agent Hicks into the hold was Ms. Rhoda Tennero.
Hold it!
It's highly unlikely, but it's highly likely that the keycard was stolen from Ms. Tennero. It's highly likely. Is that possibility the best you could come up with? And you call yourself a disciple of my father? Yes, well, while I don't have any such evidence, Be quiet, you're a disgrace. There's much more evidence pointing to Ms. Rhoda Tennero, you know? It's not just the keycard that gives her away. You're talking about the murder weapon. The Mr. iFly piggy bank. Yes, she is also the only person with the key to open that display case.
Hold it!
What is
Objection!
This is a fake. Stop right there, Miles Edgeworth. You don't have any proof that this is just a red herring. If you must keep on insisting that it's a fake, then what is the real murder weapon, and where did it go? Speechless, I see. That is not a surprise. After all, you know that we even searched the entire cargo hold and came up empty-handed. There must be a way. There must be something that can help me rule out the piggy bank as the murder weapon. What should be examined further to help us ascertain the authenticity of the weapon? I don't know. I imagine that I'm not going to find anything on Piggy Bank. It's either the body or the crime scene. We've got like a 50-50 here on being wrong. The body. Francisca, I think you were too quick to jump to your conclusions. Oh, was I? Yes, we don't even have the autopsy results yet. How can I not say that you made snap judgment when you have yet to even see if the wound on Agent Hicks's head is consistent with the murder weapon? Scraffy! Yes, sir. Contact the medical examiner's office at once. I wish to hear the results of Agent Hicks's autopsy. Yes, sir. We've got a big problem, Mr. Edgeworth, sir. What is it, Detective? They're still doing the autopsy, but they say they already know one thing for sure. Report, now. The doc said it's one giant bruise from a beating from his shoulder down to his mid-back. From his shoulder down to his mid-back. One giant beating. One giant bruise from a beating from... So, someone beat him? From the victim's shoulder to his mid-back, he was beaten over such a wide area. Well, I'd say maybe it's a sign the killer had a grudge against Agent Hicks. It wasn't just his head. The killer went all out and hit him multiple times, sir. Scruffy, what is had a grudge against Agent Hicks supposed to mean? Well, that's, Was the wound on the victim's head consistent with the murder weapon, Detective? Oh, well, they said they were still looking into that, sir. You were completely useless! Yow! Sir, I told you already. You can't go down there. Oh, it's gonna be that, art dealer. No, you remove yourself from my way. What is all that racket? My luggage, my cargo. They are mine and I demand you return them to me. We are still investigating the cargo hold. Please understand and have a little patience. I suppose there is no choice. Finally, I think you gave... Hey, what are you? You have no choice but to use strong force. Ah! You won't get past me. This is... Wait, that's it. So that's what this whole thing has been about. What? What? What is happening? Did we just stop mid this guy about to, like, fall to his death? Like, what is going on? Further, there's the matter of the key to the display case that held the murderous bank. After all, you know that we've searched the entire cargo hold and came up empty-handed. Nobody can find anything that can be considered a real weapon in the hold. So is this insinuating that she shoved him? The dog said that it's one giant bruise from a beating from his shoulder down to his mid-back. I don't know. I don't see how any of these connect. Yeah. Try that again. What am I connecting? I guess that it's no way that this could have done that. Okay. Allegedly, the killer struck the victim many times over, which is why there's extensive bruising over such a wide area. Is that really the correct conclusion to draw from the evidence? The bruise from his shoulder to the mid of his back is one continuous mark, which is more suggestive of a single blow to the back. If that's the case, then the piggy bank is much too small to have caused that. Therefore, the murder weapon must be something far bigger. The unusually large area of bruising suggests that a very large weapon was used. has to be those two. I don't see how that smuggling would connect to anything. If you're looking for a rather large weapon, you'd think it would stick out. But so far we haven't found anything that resembles a weapon of any sort. Perhaps, just perhaps, it's something we all overlooked from the very beginning, because normally it's too impossibly big to be taken into consideration. What was that all about? Was he trying to jump his way down here? Franziska. What? What do you want? I found it, Franziska. I found the real murder weapon. You did. He really jumped. He's the only one paying attention to this. We didn't realize it until now, but the answer has been right in front of us this whole time. He might be hurt. We should go check up on him, sirs. There's that pompous attitude of yours again. You should learn to drop that habit. This coming from a prosecutor with the habit of whipping everyone she comes across. Anyway, if you really are a prosecutor, then you'll back yourself up with evidence. You aren't listening at all, are you? Come on then, show me this real murder weapon you speak of. I don't have evidence to show. I believe I'm going to be pointing at the floor. I don't have any evidence to show you. Foolish reasoning for a foolish fool from a foolishly foolish fool meant to fool me. What do you mean I don't have any evidence to show? Perhaps I should have phrased it as that which caused Agent Hicks's death is incorporeal. Forgive me, but I do believe I have figured out what was the real cause of death. Free fall. Why would you say strangulation? That's the dumbest thing to say. The victim fell from a great height and subsequently died as a result. In other words, the real cause of death is free falling to the ground. He fell to his death? Yes, it's the only plausible possibility. The victim has extensive bruising from his back, of his head and his back, and then the only rational explanation for these injuries is that he fell to his death. But the murder happened inside this plane. I know. Are you claiming that there is some place in this plane from which he could fall in from? As I said earlier, the answer has been right in front of us the entire time. Was he like climbing around on that spot or something and she shoved him and then he hit the ground? You can't mean... Yes, I do. The victim fell from the top of the stairs of this very cargo hold. What? Then... We're in trouble. We may have a second death on our hands, sirs. That is barely a fall at all right there. Hey you, tell me you aren't dead, pal. Quiet, why are you screaming? He's alive. And there you have it, Miles Edgeworth. It's not possible that Agent Hicks fell over the railing to his death. That man is living proof of that. I suppose it's true that it's not possible, given the current circumstances. The current circumstances? What is that supposed to mean? Suppose the large piece of cargo wasn't there at the time. What would have happened then? Did somebody move that large piece of cargo? How? When? It would have been a Borginian pancake for sure, sir. I suppose that man over there still wouldn't be breathing, but the reality is the cargo box is there, so there's no point in entertaining your wild hypothetical scenarios. It may be there now, but there's no proof that it was always there. Huh, as if there could have been a window of time when the giant box was not there. Ah, but there was. What? What can I use to show her that it was possible the box was not always where it is now? This flight will be making a brief stop to refuel and transfer cargo in the Republic of Zhengfa between 4 and 5 a.m. We ask that all passengers... This one.
Take that!
I see no other evidence. You refueled in the Republic of Zengfa? Yes, this flight had a short layover in Zengfa in order to refuel. But that wasn't the only reason for the layover. We also transferred some cargo. What if the box in question was only transferred onto the plane at that time? To further prove my point, let's take a look at what's next to the box in question. Ah, it's labeled Zengfa Express. Oh, it is. Correct, meaning it was loaded onto the plane in Zengfa. Oh, I didn't even see that. Now, what if the box in question was also loaded on at the same time? It would mean that the box was not here in the cargo hold during the Europe Zengfa leg of the flight, making a clear drop from which Agent Hicks could have fallen to his death entirely possible. Ah, but your theory is still very far-fetched. Allow me a chance to prove how very likely my scenario is. The first order of business will be to examine that piece of cargo in more detail. So we gotta look at that object. This is a rather large piece of cargo. There's a tag on it, sir. Let's see. Aleph Red Statue. Aleph Red Statue. Aleph Red? Aleph Red? Alf? Aleph Red? Alf? I don't know. Never heard of it. Nor I, but all I care about is if we can prove that it wasn't here at the time of the crime. Then let's get investigating, sir. Look here, do not go about touching my possessions without my permission. Don't rush on me like that, pal. This belongs to Mr. LeBlanc, does it? I should see what else I can find out from him. Look here, do not go about... Okay, I suppose I have to go first to please Mr. LeBlanc if I want to know some more detail. I wanted to talk to you, actually. LeBlanc's cargo. I take it that this large piece of cargo belongs to you, Mr. LeBlanc? Of course it is mine. I shipped this fine piece of art from Europe. This Aleph Red statue is worth 10 million cents. No, maybe much, much more. Mr. LeBlanc's reason for choosing this plane must have been the very large cargo hold. 10 million cents? I suggest you stop trying to calculate how many packets of noodles that makes, detective. Darn, how did you do that? I feel like you keep getting better and better at seeing right through me every year. So I grow with each revolution of the planet around the sun. I have a distinct impression that he continues to madly spin in place. Hey, Mr. Edward, so that million cents, is that in euros or is it in dollars? Does it really make a difference to our case? Mr. LeBlanc, there's a chance that your cargo is related to our murder case. I was wondering if you would allow us to examine it a bit closer. It is a very valuable piece of art, so no, there will be no touching. Okay, hold on. Ah! If Mr. LeBlanc has something to do with the smuggling ring, then it's possible this fake statue was brought on board in Zengfa. I think I need to question him a bit further. Maybe by, like, insinuating that he's got a fraud will make him show it. About your statue, Mr. LeBlanc, I wonder if it might be a fake. Well, what? How dare you say my art is fake? I suspect that your statue might be the target of an international smuggling ring. Don't say such fantastical things. Those thieves would not dare. I have certification of my cargo right here. Do you mean the cargo certification document? Mr. Zig LeBlanc, why did you say so earlier? Please show it to us at once. I can't read this. What does it say? It says as plain as day the cargo was put onto the plane in Europe. And there you have it, Miles Edgeworth. Too bad for you. The statue was brought on board in Europe just as safes on this certificate. Though that's... Which means that there never was a window of time in which the statue wasn't sitting there. I respectfully disagree. Why... Zengfall was the stopping point. Did they, like, move this over? Like, why would you have a Zengfall one to the left of that? I'm trying to follow the logic because I believe Edgeworth is right. So, even though it doesn't make any sense, there's no way to see anything about that. Then you can have your wish. Look at yourself and see I'm right. This, I know I've seen it somewhere before. Oh. Hey. They don't look the same. The eyes look duller. This is the Aleph Red. Gives off such a feeling of art, I can practically smell it. This statue has a high amount of historical value. After it was unveiled at the museum in Europe, I brought it to this country to exhibit it. Yeah, but it looks wrong. I believe a closer look is warranted here. It is wrong. The statue's eyes look like they're made of a jewel-like stone. Those gems sure are pretty. And look at that fiery orange color, sir. Well, according to Mr. LeBlanc, the whole thing is worth a pretty penny. Oh, I just got a really great idea. I can probably find some rocks down by the river I can polish to make it look like real jewels. I think I'll try that out and give one to Maggie as a present next time. I wonder if he's serious, and I wonder if I should try to stop him if he is. Look at that! Move, Gumshoe. Move. Look, it's sitting on top of the, on top of that. What have we here? It says Zengfa Express on the cloth, sir. I'm gonna take a guess and say that this delivery company is based in Zengfa. If that's the case, then we can assume that it was loaded onto the plane in Zengfa. Something is tugging on the corner of my mind, as though something is out of place. Look right there, stupid! So this is the infamous Aleph Red statue, What is it, Mr. Edgeworth? Did you find something? Something wrong about this picture. We should examine it in more detail. Okay, well, first of all, look at that. What's this? The statue looks like it's stepping all over its neighbor's cloth cover. Kind of resembles the owner's attitude in a sense. Oh, you, what did you say just now? Rather, my clothing hem is not being stepped on by anyone. It is too expensive for me to allow that to happen. Please forgive the trespasses of my subordinate. Why should I forgive it if it's trespasses? Unless you keep an expensive dress, unless it is an expensive dress, you keep it. That's something, but this is something too. I feel like, is this spot somehow connected to any evidence I hold? Yes, sir. This one.
Eureka!
Those eyes are awfully orange, don't you think? Yeah, and pretty. It reminded me of sunsets when I was in grade school, sir. I don't think you see what I'm talking about. No, I do, but it's really like the color of the sun when it's setting, sir. Ah, the memories. I remember standing out in the field, spinning with my arms out until I fell ill. I don't care about sunsets. Focus, detective. What color are the eyes in this photo? Huh? Ah! Sir, they're red! As I thought. The statue is a fake. Mr. LeBlanc. What do you want? Do you not know I am a busy man? I allow you 2 seconds for your answer. The Aleph Red. I suppose it is your pride and joy, is it not? It is the biggest trophy on this European trip. Do you know why I wanted to possess the statue? The trigger started 17 years ago. Better grab a chair, sir. Sounds like this is going to be a long story. Mr. LeBlanc, I regret to inform you, and you have my heartfelt sympathy, but... What is that? Sympathy? For what? You'll see. I'd like you to compare the eyes. That very large fellow there has very bright and pretty eyes compared to you. I wasn't talking about the two of us. I meant the eyes of that statue in front of us and the one in this photo. Why the sudden yelling? Now then. Oh! Is the photo of the statue on display at the museum in Europe? Noir! Now do you see, Mr. LeBlanc? The statue before us is a fake. A fake! I believe that even further examination will be required, now that we have confirmed that this is indeed a fake. There must be some sort of proof that this was brought on board in Zhengfa, and I'll present to you evidence that will resolve the remaining contradiction. It's down here. This. What? It has to be this. Okay, there we go. I just picked the wrong one. There's clearly a contradiction here. What are you going on about? It's just a simple case of cargo cover getting stuck under another piece of cargo. Ah, that's not possible. But it is. It shouldn't be this way, but the statue's on top of the cloth. Supposing that the neighboring piece of cargo was brought on board in Zhengfa, there is no way that any part of it should wind up under something from Europe. Which means that this fake statue was smuggled on board in Zhengfa. But then what about the cargo certificate? Let me ask in return what about Agent Hicks? Why did he come down here in the middle of the flight? There's only one reason why, to secure proof of smuggling activity on board this flight. So you say, but I don't believe he had to do that mid-flight. We could have just as easily inspected all of the cargo after the plane landed. It may be true, however, you have it backwards, Francisca. Sure, Agent Hicks could have waited until after the plane had landed, but he had a reason for coming down to the cargo hold. Suppose he had found the fake at the airport. It would have been after the swap had occurred. At that time, the suspicion would naturally fall onto the statue's owner, who would have no way to prove that the statue was switched without his knowledge. Which means there's someone involved who is forging or modifying cargo certificates. I guess the victim knew that the real version of this was going to get nabbed, huh? Yes, while this photo could have been seen nothing more as a simple souvenir, it was in fact taken to be used as a reference document later on. Next, Agent Hicks had to secure proof that the smuggling had taken place. He came down here to take a picture of the cargo hold, a rather empty one at that, right before this fake statue could be loaded aboard. Photo of a hold missing a valuable piece of cargo would have been proof enough. After all he had to do was hold the Zhengfa cargo crew and arrest the smuggler. Exactly. This only goes to prove my theory. If the statue was not in the cargo hold during the Europe-Zhengfa leg of the trip, there would have been enough height from which Agent Hicks could fall into his death. Officer! Move the statue immediately! I want a thorough examination of the floor underneath, now! Miss Von Karma, I'm ready to report my findings. Go on. After moving the Aleph Red statue out of the way, we tested the area under it with luminol and there was a reaction. I see, there was a reaction to luminol, an indication that there was blood in that spot. Can we stop looking at it now, sirs? It seemed that my deductions were correct after all. I suppose it would appear that way. The culprit cleaned the blood up well. How do you think the killer did that? With that cloth? With that cloth. With the cloth. Over here. Boop.
Take that!
The killer used the bloody cloth I found inside the suitcase to clean up the mess. I see. They had a need to clean up the blood before the plane landed in Zhengfa. Oh, and that's why he hid the cloth. I was wondering this entire time why he hid the cloth, why she hid the cloth. I was wondering this entire time, why do you need to hide the cloth? But now it makes sense. The cloth was hidden because why would you need to clean up any blood? Because it was down here. Yes, because otherwise the cargo crew would have discovered it during the layover. So you guys are saying the murder happened before the plane landed in Zhengfa? There's no other conceivable timeline for the events of the murder. But if that is true, then that throws a certain person's testimony into doubt. If the murder occurred before we landed in Zhengfa, then this becomes highly suspect. I was wondering what was the point of Miss Meal's testimony. Was there in his seat when we took off again at... Yeah, okay, Miss Meal. Recall Miss Meal's testimony about Agent Hicks in regard to when we departed Zhengfa. I saw Mr. Hicks sitting in his seat at 5 a.m., you know? She claims Agent Hicks was alive at the time of the service calls, but... That totally contradicts the facts, sir! But why would she lie about something like that? Because she's a murderer! I think the only person who can answer that is Ms. Meal herself. Cool. I don't like her. So I'm looking forward to it. You know, I've been looking at the backgrounds of the people in this picture. Obviously Edgeworth's in the middle, but it looks like Francisca's to the left of him. And who's on the far right and the far left? Is that Gumshoe? That must be Gumshoe on the far right. March 12th, 3:35 p.m. Flight I-390, lower deck cargo hold. Ms. Meal. Ms. Meal. Huh? Oh, alright. I'm gonna do the sleepy voice. That's what she's supposed to have, I'm sure. Do you recall what you said earlier? About when you answered about some service calls as we were departing from Zhengfa? You said that Mr. Hicks was sitting in his seat at that time. However, that is simply not possible, because Mr. Hicks was dead long before we ever touched down in Zhengfa. Miss Cammy Meal! Maybe I didn't see what I thought I did? No one could make a mistake so large, Miss Meal. But I make that kind of boo-boo all the time. Ugh. This is going nowhere. There must be a better way of resolving this contradiction. Very well, Miss Meal, if you please, tell me about your alibi during the time span, from just before we were to land at 3 a.m. to 6 a.m. when the body was found. Are you telling me I'm a suspect, Mr. Edgeworth? Ms. Meal's alibi. Yeah. From 3 to 4 I was, in the flight attendant's room all by my lonesome self. Oh, yeah. And from 5 to 6 I was, 5 to 6 I was, in the flight attendant's room all by my lonesome self. How is a man supposed to react to a testimony like that? Ms. Meal, wake up. She fell asleep again. Looks like the only way I'm going to be able to get her up, wake her up, is by pressing her. Which one's more suspect? The before. Press that one. If I remember correctly, food was being served in first class in the lounge between the hours of 3 and 4 a.m. But that kind of stuff's run by Miss Rhoda. What were you doing in the attendance room at that time? Eating and then having a most delicious stream? You mean you were neglecting your duties? No way. Sleeping's part of our job too, you know.
Hold
Okay,
it!
press this one. So you were alone the entire time, were you? Yeah, no one even popped in to say hi. Oh, well, I think a contradiction just popped in to say hi. What should I do? Should I raise an objection? 5 to 6. There's something that happened at 5 to 6. What's that 5 to 6? 5 to 6, there was drinks. Aha. The suitcase was bought at 5:40. So she would have brought it in here. Right? Raise an objection. Ms. Meal, there's a clear contradiction embedded in your testimony. Huh? What are you talking about? It's not possible that you were alone in the attendance room the whole time from 5 to 6 a.m. Because... Suitcase receipt.
Take that!
I wonder if you would be so kind as to take a look at this receipt, Miss Meal. Huh? A receipt for what? It's for a suitcase Ms. Tenero bought. Now, if I may direct your attention to the timestamp, as you can see, it clearly says 5:40 a.m. Ms. Tenero. Yes. Huh? Why is the killer here? I thought you'd have had her locked up by now. I requested that she be present as a witness so that we may straighten out your complex lie. Now then, Ms. Tenero, between the hours of 5 and 6 a.m., you took a trip from the first class down to the first floor in-flight shop, correct? Yes, I went to the shop to buy a suitcase, after which I went straight to the attendance room to drop it off. And did you see Ms. Meal there at that time? No. So, Ms. Meal, where were you really between the hours of 5 and 6 a.m.? Miss Cammy Meal! Huh? The bathroom? I'll be the one to ask the questions here. Yeah, maybe that's it. I probably just missed her. Nature calls, you know. You take me for a fool. That's a little too convenient to be true. But it's the truth. Cross my heart. I don't have enough conclusive proof to counter-argue her at this stage. You don't believe me, do you? Please, don't you give me a chance and hear me out? Well, you're not giving me enough to, like... Reason for suspicion. I know you're all suspecting me because I'm one of the crew. But you think that maybe you should also suspect Miss Rhoda too? She's the one in charge of the elevator keycard in the shop, you know? If you ask me, that makes her super suspicious. Please leave Miss Tenero out of the conversation. Only you are under suspicion for now. I don't get it. Why are you covering for Miss Rhoda all of a sudden? Oh, now I get it. Maybe you've got your eye on Miss Rhoda. Of course I'm keeping an eye on her. I can't very well let her escape, can I? Never mind. But you want to know something? Miss Rhoda actually kind of... I have absolutely no interest in people who can't appreciate my sense of design. Now's not the time for this sort of talk. Okay. Okay, I'm trying to figure out which one of these. I mean, she has no responsibilities. That's also pretty suspicious.
Hold it!
I'm just gonna press every statement until I figure something out. No, it's not the only reason I have for suspecting you. Your statements regarding Mr. Hicks also turned out to be a bunch of lies. But say I wasn't an attendant, you wouldn't suspect me then, would you? Yes, I suppose that's true enough.
Hold it!
What's this? She's already being detained for further questioning, or have you already forgotten? Oh yeah, I guess I just forgot. Cammy, don't tell me you suspect me too. Sorry, I can't help it. I mean, other than you, there's no one else who could have done it. Can't believe you would think that. I mean, me, a killer. Ms. Meal, just what do you mean by now no one else could have done it?
Hold it!
And what are you in charge of, Ms. Meal? I take care of the attendance room. That doesn't count. But I spent so much time in there, it might as well be my responsibility. Mr. Edgeworth, Cammy is very talented in languages, so she assists passengers who may not speak English, especially those who speak Borginian. She's the only one on this flight who is fluent. Oh, you mean that kind of what am I in charge of? Why didn't you say so in the first place? What else could I have meant? Yeah, so I'm really good at Borginian? She's fluent in Borginian. And I suppose you're in charge of processing documents in Borginian. Ooh! Can't I take care of anything that has to do with Borginian? Very interesting. Alright.
Hold it!
I guess we'll press everything. Actually, your on-the-job behavior makes you super suspicious in my eyes. Huh? But why? Well, Ms. Tenero is busy with the passengers and all of her other duties. You have a lot of free time on your hands, thus providing you with ample time to commit your crime. Miles Edgeworth, I demand that you cease and desist in this line of conjectural questioning. I won't allow you to bluff your way through this like a certain defense lawyer. But I do not honestly believe Miss Meal does any actual work aboard this flight. That's not true, Mr. Edgeworth. Although, well, all I'm in charge of are the attendance room and some Borginian stuff. Boop, 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 boop.
Objection!
Got you. So you're the only one in this flight crew that speaks Borginian, is that correct? Oh yeah, I guess so. I studied abroad in Virginia for a while. If that's the case, then the signature on this document belongs to you, doesn't it? This is a falsified piece of documentation with only one purpose: to lead anyone who read it to believe that Mr. LeBlanc's statue was loaded in Europe. The only person who could have either prepared or processed this document in Borginian is you, Ms. Meal. Without your participation, the smuggling of the Aelifred could not have occurred. Don't sleep when I'm pointing my finger at you. Oh, here we go. She's got her serious voice now. I guess I shouldn't do the sleepy voice. Oh, I wouldn't dream of falling asleep on you, Mr. Edgeworth. It is exactly as you say. Are you confessing to have participated in the smuggling? No, far from it. It's true that I was the one who signed off on that document, but you can't use that fact alone to make your allegation of smuggling stick. There's no direct correlation after all. All you have is my signature on a piece of paper. Really, all you did was sign it. I neglected to check if the cargo had been loaded into the plane properly. So, sorry about that. It seems that she's finally woken up. This is going to be one tough fight. Suppose, this is just a supposition, even if I was involved in the smuggling, you can't throw the charge of murder on me just like that.
Objection!
If you were involved in the smuggling, you would have had a strong motive to kill. Agent Hicks was in the middle of an investigation regarding a smuggling ring, and just when he was about to close in, he's killed by a member of that ring. Well, did you ever stop to think that maybe Rhoda is the smuggling ring member? After all, unlike me, Rhoda has access to many things on this plane for work purposes. So perhaps there's some element of a setup at play in this case. What are you talking about? Don't worry, I wasn't talking about you. I meant the killer. First, it was myself, and now it's Miss Tenero who is under the microscope. Seems to me that our killer is going at great lengths to pin this crime on anyone they can. You have no proof that Rhoda is being set up? That she isn't. Actually, I believe that she was indeed the intended target from the very beginning. I believe that the plan was to push all of the blame for the crime onto her. And this evidence will prove my suspicions. This proves that the killer was out to frame Miss Tenero from the very beginning. The suitcase.
Take that!
The killer could have hidden the body anywhere, and yet they chose the suitcase. Why is that? Perhaps it was to move the body from the lower deck to the first floor. However, why go through the trouble to do so? That face. The only way all of these actions make sense is if the killer had wanted to frame Ms. Tenero for the murder. Ms. Tenero buys a suitcase on every flight she works without fail. But should her suitcase be switched with the one containing the victim's body that I figured out, boop, 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 got you, that would put her in a very tight spot. Unfortunately for the killer, the turbulence put an end to that plan. There was enough time to put the body back into the suitcase. Ergo, they made do with whoever was at hand, adapted their plan, and tried to frame me as I lay unconscious on the floor from the turbulence. The killer then went to hide the suitcase in the in-flight shop, and brought the piggy bank back to the elevator in order to fabricate a false weapon. A lot of work for a fruitless endeavor, wouldn't you agree? Sounds like the killer had a tough time too, huh? I mean, why did the killer need to frame someone that badly anyway? That is because of the special circumstances surrounding this particular case. What special circumstance dictated the need for a killer to frame someone? Who the murder victim was? Who the murder victim was. The killer was at a loss of what to do with Agent Hicks's body, but as it just so happened, there was a bunch of empty suitcases nearby. Being a skinny man, the killer thought to put his body in the suitcase and hand it off. You mean that the whole plan to frame someone was an elaborate coincidence? No, that's not what I said. You've wrongly deduced my meaning, Miss Meal. Oh. I thought it meant, like, who it was as in, like, Agent Hicks was, like, an Interpol member. Where the murder took place? Special circumstances is simply that the murder took place on a plane mid-flight. No matter which country, customs is quite strict in this day and age. So no matter what you do, the chances the body will be found is very high. Therefore, there was no choice but to frame either Ms. Tenero or myself. In other words, the only one who fits within the boundaries of a criminal's movements is not Ms. Tenero or myself, but you, Ms. Cammy Meal. Only you and you alone could be the killer. And... Are you done already? I was about to fall asleep again. Anyway, let's be honest here. You don't have anything on me other than a whole lot of circumstantial evidence. I can see the outline of how the murder occurred, but I have no definitive evidence. And isn't there a piece of evidence that's still unaccounted for? Something that I still can't quite fit into the big picture? A phone. I've been wondering what this, like, there's sometimes you get, like, pieces of evidence that you're just like, when is this gonna come up? I don't have any actual evidence. I thought not. That's because it went missing, and it still is. Missing? What do you mean by that? In the complex puzzle that is this case, there's one piece I kept getting stuck on, and that is the victim's cell phone, Francisca. You were waiting at the airport for a phone call from Agent Hicks's cell phone, or at least that's what you told me. That's right. But Agent Hicks's cell phone could not be found at that crime scene. You mean the killer took the phone with them? Precisely. I suspect that if we were to find the phone, it would lead us to the killer. Come on, get serious. If the victim fell to his death from that height, wouldn't his phone break as well? We won't know that until we try a little experiment, will we? Francisca, I'd like to ask for your assistance. You know that the victim's phone number, do you not? Of course I do. Agent Hicks's phone. It's ringing from somewhere, sir. I hear it, Detective. Now, where's it coming from? Miss Meal, wake up. Sorry, Mr. Edgeworth. I got sleepy all of a sudden because it sounds like a lullaby I used to love as a child. Sounds like it's coming from the... Oh! It sounds like it's coming from the flight attendant's room! I agree. Please don't hang up on it just yet. Let me find it. That's fine, but let's get one thing straight. Yes? Don't you dare answer his phone when you find it. Understand? Understand that you don't want to pay for the call. Oh! Okay. Flight attendant's room. The ringing's coming from somewhere in here, sir. Leave no stone unturned, Detective Gumshoe. We must find it. Doesn't seem to be over here. Let's look somewhere else, sir. Okay. Where is it? Over here? I wonder if it might be inside this suitcase? I don't hear any sound coming from inside, sir. I don't suppose the culprit would have been so dumb as to try the same trick twice. Ringing is coming from somewhere around here. But it's not here, sir. Why do I have such a bad feeling about where we're going to find the phone? Oh no. What? No, it can't be. This has got to be the victim's cell phone. Just whose locker is this, sir? It's Ms. Tenero's. What? Man, she went through lengths to set her up. Lengths. March 12th, 4:28 p.m. So, Mr. Edgeworth, how did it go? Where did you find the phone? Found it in the flight attendant's room, in Ms. Tenero's locker. What? But... Rhoda Tenero! I don't know anything about the phone. It wasn't me. It wasn't me. Ms. Von Karma, is it? I suggest you arrest Miss Rhoda Tenero right away. Wait, I have a theory. This is related to the incident with the key card. When the killer went to steal the key card, they conveniently stashed the cell phone in Ms. Tenero's locker at the same time. This is related to the key card, all right. In the same way that we have zero proof that the killer did just that. Oof. The only voice that sings in the truth is evidence. That is the one bird we cannot ignore. What do I have? I don't think I have any evidence to prove that Ms. Meal did it. I don't have anything. I can't think of it. What should I do? Francisca's right. I can't offer baseless conjectures at this point. Right then, why did the culprit take the cell phone from Agent Hicks? It must have something very incriminating on or in it.
Hold it!
What now, Miles Edgeworth? It's not over yet. We have yet to figure out why the killer took the phone. What? Inside this phone lies the final piece of incriminating evidence that will point us to our killer. We need to examine this phone in more detail. Okay. The screen is cracked. The LCD is broken. Without a screen, you can't even place a call with this. Ah, it's the camera lens. Come to think of it, I wonder, how exactly was Agent Hicks planning to preserve the crime scene of a smuggling? Francisca, I need you to confirm something. This cell phone, can it take pictures? Mr. Edgeworth, I can't believe you don't know about this kind of basic stuff, sir. This looks like the very similar model to my own, and mine can take photos just fine. Do you think Agent Hicks could have taken some pictures with this? In particular, pictures as evidence for his smuggling case. If so, I'd say there may be some very inconvenient photos in here for our killer smuggler. But the phone's all busted up, sir. Even a super prosecutor can't repair a broken phone. I'll find a way. Don't you worry about that. May I go back to sleep now?
Objection!
You can still get data out of broken screens. The LCD screens on the inside and outside are broken, that's for sure. But that's also reason enough to believe that the killer wasn't able to erase the data. What? What do you mean by that, Francisca? It looks like our killer isn't very familiar with electronics. His phone still rang when I called it, meaning that only the LCD screens are broken. It's possible that the photos are still inside, waiting to be accessed. All we need to do is transfer the data to my phone. Francisca, your phone, if you please. Very well. It's transferring. Alright, displaying it now. This doesn't tell us anything. I mean, I know this is like, it shows that it was empty and that's why he died, but this doesn't tell us anything that would prove Rhoda's innocent. Agent Hicks was most certainly trying to obtain some evidence for his smuggling case. Hey, the Aleph Reds nowhere in this pic, sir. But that has no meaning as a piece of evidence in this murder case, right? Ouch, she's right. There's not much we can find out from this about Agent Hicks's killer, sir. Is this it? Is this the end? Is there really nothing in this photo that we can use? What does it say? Sorry, didn't mean to bump that. I'm trying to read. Can't read it. Ugh, sorry, my eyes are bugging me. What's all this? Oh, I love that he's doing the hand thing that I've been doing. I didn't realize that. Oh, they are cargo shipped from Borginia to Zengfa. So the reason they aren't here now is that they were dropped off in Zengfa. Mr. LeBlanc, can you tell me the contents of these boxes? Unfortunately, there is no English written on them anywhere. One cluster of the boxes is written in Borginian. It says... blah, 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 blah. It is cloth in English. Cloth? Could it be? Is this where the killer... What? What is that scary face? Ms. Meal. So that's where she got this cloth, right? It's a Virginian cloth, that's clearly... But what does that say? Like, what good is that? I don't follow. I mean, Rhoda could have taken it too. Yes? It appears that Agent Hicks was no ordinary investigator. What is going on outside? I'm sorry to like break the stream up with this, but like there has been like some weird driving and honking and all sorts of stuff, and I don't live on a road where you have like people drive on and more or less honk, So it's very strange. It's like someone's like intentionally making noise out there. Okay, anyways. He left us with a piece of evidence after all. A striking piece that will point out who his killer is. Huh. Maybe you should enforce your mistake reading of the simple picture, Mr. Edgeworth. Okay, so Virginian cargo on this piece of evidence will point us straight to the killer of the cloth.
Take that!
Obviously. What is that supposed to prove? The killer used this piece of cloth to wipe up the blood that they had spilt. There was one thing that bothered me this whole time. Where did it come from? And now I have finally found my answer in this very photo. Oh, I get it. Oh my gosh, obviously. Okay, so they had said that like there wasn't a single bit of English written on that box. So she knew that it had cloth, so she opened up that box to get a cloth out of it. However, if like let's pretend like let's say I was a killer, I would not have opened that box up. I would have opened up the bed sheets to get like a cloth out of there, the bed sheet as a cloth. That's what I would have done. I wouldn't have like started opening up random boxes. The cargo that was unloaded in Xingfa had cloth written on it. In Borginian, that is. And this is where a killer grabbed a piece of cloth to clean up the blood with. That's right, the killer was someone who could read and understand Borginian. And the only crew member that fits that description is you, Ms. Camille. Ha! That's pretty flimsy! The killer probably searched through all of the boxes looking for something to use. And you're frantic, you don't care if the box is in English or in Borginian. Sorry, but I can't agree with your assessment of the killer's indiscriminate nature. What? There's no need for the killer to tear through boxes at random at all. And if the killer supposedly could not comprehend Borginian, well then. Yeah, logically, the killer would have opened this box first. Bed sheets. Hey, it says bed sheets in English right on the box, sir. Precisely. And bed sheets would be perfect for cleaning up the blood, wouldn't you say? So what are you trying to say? And if I were the criminal, this box of bed sheets would have been what I would have first spotted. However, the killer chose to use some Borginian cloth. Do you have an explanation for that? The killer didn't want anyone to know that the real scene of the crime was this cargo hold, so they were afraid to leave signs that the box for the sheets had been opened. However, the Borginian cloth, well, that's a horse of a different color. Because the killer knew that it was going to be unloaded in the Republic of Xingfa? That's right. That is why the Borginian cloth was used. And the only Borginian reader on board who could make such a calculated decision is you, Camille. You and you alone. Oh, she's trying to defend herself with the Tanuki-looking thing. It'd be very easy for us to confirm if any of those boxes were resealed. All we would have to do is contact the Xingfa authorities in time. We may even find other evidence to incriminate our killer within those boxes. Grr! So what do you say, Ms. Meal? Why not confess to your crime here and now? Would you rather wait and see what we find out from our investigation in Xingfa? What do you got now? Oh, this is her losing animation. He was Interpol. I couldn't stop it. I brought him here. He started taking pictures. I couldn't be found out. I was scared. I was in trouble. You don't think murder would be way worse than... I would have taken forging documents over murder any day. One's a way smaller crime. We finished making all of the arrangements to take the suspect in, sir. Very good, detective. About the smuggling route. Did she say anything about that? They're taking her down to the precinct now. Hopefully we can get more out of her there. Whenever we even approach the topic, she just started foaming at the mouth. It's because she has all those bubbles in her mouth, you know. It was scary, sir. She probably wasn't prepared to commit a murder of all of a sudden. One thing for sure, the ring is behind this whole mess means serious business. Looks like there's a lot more to this case than meets the eye.
Mr. Edgeworth, I just wanted to say how much I appreciate everything you did. Thank you very much.
It was nothing. In fact, I should be the one thanking you for your cooperation.
But truly, if it wasn't for you, I might not be here right now. Instead, I can continue to serve our passengers as a flight attendant. I hope that, well, please accept this as a token of my appreciation.
That's...
I see. You don't have to take it if you don't want it.
No, I mean, I would never turn down a lady's generous offer.
Oh, thank you. I'm sure it will serve you well. And remember, we here at iFly Airlines are always ready to serve, Mr. Edgeworth.
Thank you. I'll keep that in mind.
I must bid you farewell. May all your skies be blue, no matter where you go.
Edgeworth is too much of a gentleman to turn down the lady's gift. I can't believe we wound up investigating the whole day, sir, but boy, was it fun. Speak for yourself. My day was filled with earthquakes, elevators, and false charges. By the way, where is Franziska? Oh, she's filling out some customs paperwork for her departure. Departure? Yeah, Ms. Von Karma is always really busy, sir. She's been flying from country to country to chase down some leads regarding her case. Detective. Can you cancel a car I had you reserve earlier? You got it, sir. March 12th, 5:47 p.m., Hope Springs Airport. Oh, we're seeing her off. Franziska.
I thought I told you when you first landed. I have no time for idle chatter.
I have no intention of wasting your time, however. It's been a while since we last met.
I also have no time for such familiar reminiscences. Just who do you think I am?
You are Franziska Von Karma, a very proud prosecutor deserving of much respect.
Until only a little while ago, I was but a wretched mutt who was always losing to you. A dancing period, living her life on the name and fame her invincible father built.
True, your father, Mannheim Von Karma, didn't lose a single case for 40 years as a prosecutor. However, I wouldn't say he was invincible.
What are you talking about? The group I am on the trail of is a little more troublesome than most. The smuggling route we found this time was only one sliver of the big picture.
Sounds like a dangerous assignment.
You really don't have to worry. I can take care of myself.
Yes, I suppose you can.
Plus, there's another agent on this case with me.
Oh, another agent.
He's a star among Interpol agents and has the highest successful arrest rate. Who knows? You may even run into him one day.
I was simply caught up in this one case. Hardly see why we would cross paths.
I suppose. But I doubt he would say the same.
I'm not following you.
You'll understand soon enough. The fight has only just begun, Miles Edgeworth. I'll be back in this country soon enough. And when I am, you can be sure I'll pay you back, in full.
Just like that, she's gone, huh, sir? Thank goodness. I can finally rest easy knowing I won't have to watch out for her whip. Detective Gumshoe, I want to thank you for all your help and cooperation. Oh, it was nothing, sir. I was just happy to be able to work with you again. Oh, I think I'm gonna celebrate by adding a little extra salt to my instant noodles tonight. Just how much did you cut his salary by, Franziska? Detective, I was wondering if you might give me a ride down to the prosecutor's office. Sure thing, sir. I'll even fly down the road in a patrol car if you want. Don't make me remind you, Detective. Safety first. Thus I solved the first case upon my arrival home. Franziska Von Karma, the smuggling route she was after. The leaders of that ring had already put their trump card into play. And the players on the other side of this war, they would begin to make themselves known through the next incident. Edgeworth speaking. I don't know. Is this Phoenix? I have no idea. Finally, I called who knows how many times earlier, but I couldn't get through. And you are... Okay, it's not Phoenix. Ah, have you forgotten my voice, Miles, my boy? Mr. Amano. Ernest Amano, correct? Ah, so you do remember me. I know it's rather sudden, but I can't ask this of anyone else. There's been an incident, Miles. My son, he's been kidnapped. Oh, we're doing a kidnapping case next. The kidnapped turnabout. And save. Alright, so I don't want to proceed further because I would really like to make sure the next time I play we kind of like pick up immediately on this case and finish it all the way through. I don't want to like start it and then stop it because it's just kind of like I start to forget things, and it's way better to just do it all in one go. And it's not like I remember a lot of these cases pretty well. It's just that like the tiny details, like the tiny details that you're just kind of like you're supposed to like hone in on, so that way when you're trying to poke into someone's evidence or like contradictions or whatever, if you don't remember the tiny details, I feel like you kind of get lost. So I don't want to skip this. Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed this. I'm actually going to take a very, very small break before I come back and do more, but I need to eat. It's like 2:30 p.m. and I haven't fed myself, so that's what I need to do. I'll be back in like 30 minutes. So until then, see ya!